Black Alpha Network. Home of Black excellence. Power to the people.
A boil water advisory is in effect for roughly 150,000 people in Mississippi's capital. Residents were seen lining up at water distribution centers and stores in hope of getting some relief. Over the weekend, severe flooding damaged the city's water treatment plant, causing the system to fail. Yesterday, President Biden vowed to help the city's recovery efforts. However, Jackson has a history of water system problems that were never addressed. Now that the issue has hit a crisis point, there are growing questions about the city's infrastructure and racial inequity.
What is they doing with our tax dollars? You got to pay a water bill, but you can't use the water. That don't make no sense. I got $100 water bill I just paid, and I can't use the water. I am angry about this water crisis, because this don't make no sense. We ain't had no water for 2 months almost. So, you can't afford to buy water when you're in a fix come, and nobody on this side tries to give away any water. All the water being given away is out here on out there in South Jackson. I blame the city and the mayor. And everybody working downtown ain't doing their job. Because every time we turn around, we have this problem. This don't make no sense.
One love, family, what's poppin'? Welcome back to the Black Alpha Network. Here we go again. I appreciate the pull up, y'all. Make sure you bang that like button. Put your notifications on. Black AlphaCast every Tuesday at 8 o'clock. But this is a special episode today. New Black media representative, certified Black society representative, and straight to the bag. Reparations over everything. Yes, indeed. When I say we all we got, and I say that we all the culture, I mean that shit. I mean it to the core, and we all mean it because we all know it. One thing for sure, two things for certain. Foundational Black Americans have each other's backs. Foundational Black Americans stand together, and foundational Black Americans are stronger than ever. Anybody who's waiting for us to slip, anybody who's waiting for us to lose focus, they're gonna be waiting forever. It ain't happening, not on this side. We are people who are self-sufficient, we are independent, and everything that we got on our own. So when these people come around to our country and they try to tell us how they created what we created, how they try to tell us they innovated or assisted us on everything that we've done, we know it's bullshit, because we are the only lineage on this earth that can literally say everything that we have come up with has our own fingerprints on them and nobody else's. That is it. So if you think you come into a foundational Black American and you sit there and say, well, you know, we helped y'all, we already know they lying. If somebody comes over here and says, y'all know we was there when y'all did that, we know they lying. And if somebody comes over here and tells us they did what we've already done, then we know they lying, and we gonna run their ass so far up the fucking block you won't see them no more. And that's what's going on right now. Shout out to all my brothers and sisters, kings and queens, the goddess and the gods who have been holding things down on the front line. I'm talking about boots on the ground, loyal to the soil. One thing about us, if one foundational Black American needs help, we there. If one foundational Black American needs assistance, we're there. If one foundational Black American is in any trouble, we got their backs. And we stand on that because it's all about us being together. I'm so proud of being a foundational Black American for many reasons, but the main reason why I'm so proud to be a foundational Black American, it is the love and the unity for our lineage, our heritage, and our culture. You feel me? That lineage, heritage, and culture is unmatched. Nobody can match it. These other groups who run around here and they talk about y'all's blacks is out there, you know, black on black crime in each other. Motherfucker, please. These people hate each other. Go around these other people. These people don't have the love for each other like we got. Man, look at all these other groups. All the crime they be doing. All the dirty, filthy shit they be doing. Please. Look at the statistics. It's all in the statistics. You're going to see raggedy after raggedy after raggedy. These other motherfuckers see their own kind and they drive right by them. Don't get it twisted. The only thing that these other groups have in common is anti-Black racism. That's the only thing. Do not let these other groups' anti-Black racism give you the false notion that they love each other, because they fucking don't. Hell to the no. Hell no. Anybody who spent any amount of time around other groups, you come to find out those groups do every fucking thing that they say we do and we really don't. How many of them call each other brother and sister? Have y'all ever been anywhere and you seen a tether call somebody brother or sister? You seen the dominant society say brother and sister? We call each other kings and queens. I say brothers and sisters, kings and queens, goddess and gods, and I mean that shit. Y'all don't hear nobody say that. Don't nobody speak like that. Nobody has that same passion for their own kind like we do. Foundational Black Americans, we represent it, and I don't use coons as no example. Everybody wants to point to the coons or the off-code motherfuckers and say, man, y'all see how we's are? That ain't a motherfucking we problem. That's a him. That's what folks got to do. You got to separate the we's from the him and the hers. You feel me? I'm not talking about a coon here, a Sambo there, a tap dancing, butter biscuit chasing motherfucker across the street. They don't represent foundational Black Americans. I say certified Black society. I'm not talking about the counterfeit Negroes. They're the ones who are running around here putting salt in the game. They don't represent nothing we do. Foundational Black Americans would have never accomplished everything that we've accomplished, and we would not be the trendsetters if it wasn't for us standing by each other. That's a motherfucking fact. 110. Now, guarantee you, when we start talking about holding each other down, you know we hold each other down because we are the only ones who ever show up side by side when one of us is in need. You got brothers and sisters right now who do what? They have food drives. They give out food. The Black Panther Party, they had a breakfast program. Name me another group that you see do this. Do y'all ever see any of these other groups who run around here all day long and point the finger at us and try to sell us that we don't like each other, try to sell us that we hate each other? How many times you seen them with a food program where they serve each other? Not a goddamn time. Not a goddamn time. Remember, these groups only love each other when they can practice anti-Black racism. When ain't no Black folks in the building, all of a sudden them motherfuckers is going at each other's throats. The whole saying, it takes a village to raise a child, that comes from us. The people who came from the plantation, the people who were in them killing fields, singing Negro spirituals, they love each other. Don't get it ever twisted. The motherfucker who's sitting there selling each other out, the motherfucker who's out there stabbing each other in the back, the motherfucker who's out there turncoating on each other, that's them. FBA, Certified Black Society Freedmen, oh, we ride. We ride 24/7, 365. We keep it all the way real. We invented keeping it real. Trust me when I tell you that shit. That's why you can look at a long list of unified actions that we've done. When you see food drives, that's foundational Black Americans looking out for foundational Black Americans. When you see back to school programs where we're giving away free book bags and school supplies, that's foundational Black Americans looking out for foundational Black Americans. When you see people giving away turkeys for Thanksgiving, that's foundational Black Americans looking out for foundational Black Americans. My mama used to give me food in bags and tell me, hey, go down the street to Miss Johnson's house, knock on the door, tell her it's from me, tell her I said Merry Christmas. And you know what I do? I walk straight down the street in the cold, it be snowing and raining, and I have 2 big old bags of food. My mama put every single canned good in there, bottles of water and everything, and we walked it right down the street. I knock on Miss Johnson's door, she say, hey baby. I say, ma'am, this is for my mama, Merry Christmas. And then I walk away. That's what we don't do that for no favor. We don't do it for no reward. We don't run around here and say, y'all's out here hating on each other. When's we gonna do better? We've always done better because we're the best. Don't ever come at me talking about when we gonna do better. I can't stand when people say that shit. When we gonna do better gives the notion that we ain't the best. We've been the best since day one. You better go play that shit to number 15 and a half. You better go play that for motherfucker 33 and the third. That motherfucker way back there in the back of the line. You better go tell him when he gonna do better. But when you talk to foundational Black Americans, understand you looking at better. Because we are number one, we are the culture, and we got each other's back. And that brings me right now to Jackson, Mississippi. Yes, indeed, family. We see what's going on right now with another water crisis, the same way they had it in Flint, Michigan, the same way they had it in New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina. And right here on the Black Alpha Network, on the Black AlphaCast, we're going to break it down certified style. Certified style means we're going to get to the real facts. Certified style means we're going to get to the real points. And certified style means we're going to pull the wig back on any motherfucker who got smoke for us. And we're going to uplift each other the way we always do because we are a family. This is a family tree. I love all of my brothers and sisters. I love all of you. And I know by ourselves, we strong as hell. But we stronger together. And right now, we're stronger than ever. That is a fact. So when I see this situation going on right now in Jackson, Mississippi, I see more Black grassroots activists doing more for the foundational Black American freedmen in Jackson, Mississippi than I see the federal government. But family, ain't that a pattern? Ain't that what it's always been? However old you are, anytime you see one of these crises against foundational Black American freedmen, don't you always see it's only foundational Black American freedmen helping each other out? You got brothers and sisters right now who are loading up trucks with bottles of water, driving miles with the gas prices through the roof thanks to Jim Crow Joe Biden, with inflation thanks to Jim Crow Joe Biden, and they're going around all of that, going into their own pocketbooks, just to help another foundational Black American. That's why I say I love the family, and that's why I say don't never come at me with that we hate each other shit. We love each other. When I say we, I'm talking about the real ones. Don't point to me no Coon and no Sambo, because we understand the only thing they love is some motherfucking butter biscuits, okay? All right? Only thing they love is Karen's cooch. You feel me? We don't give a fuck about none of that. Only thing we care about is foundational Black American excellence, foundational Black American pride, and foundational Black American love. That is it. So when I say these things and I sit back and I watch brothers and sisters out here on the ground, boots on the ground, getting things done and things accomplished on their own, it proves to me again, it further lets me know, it further shows the world that everything that we've ever done, we've done independently because we got the power to move it. We are at the boss's table. We are in the winner's circle. And you can't get there unless you're holding down the person next to you. Okay? That's what it's all about. So as long as you've lived, you've always seen situations, scenarios, crises where foundational Black Americans dealing with this anti-Black race war where they purposely target us. And we're going to get to all of that. Okay? We call that ER. Okay? Environmental racism. And it comes in a lot of different ways. But we're going to break all that down. As long as you see foundational Black Americans dealing with any type of strife, dealing with any type of pain and suffering, the only denominator you always see is another brother or sister helping them out. When you seen Hurricane Katrina, who did you see? Did you see the dominant society helping Black folks? Or did you see Black folks helping Black folks? When you seen the Flint, Michigan situation, did you see the dominant society helping Black folks? Or did you see Black folks helping Black folks? When you see all of these situations with crime, suffering, where people are down bad, do you ever see anybody from another group helping us? Or do you see us helping us? If you said us helping us, you got it right, because we are all we got. We are all we got. When we're out here marching in these streets for better jobs, better education, better healthcare, that's only us doing it. Because we care about each other. We ain't like these other motherfuckers. Trust me, I'm telling you. The dominant society, they don't give a fuck about each other. Them motherfuckers will step over each other to get to the bag. You don't practice anti-Black racism all day long, which is some low budget, bottom feed savage shit. Then turn around and go home and love your family. You don't do that. These motherfuckers can't stand each other. Cannot stand each other. That is what it is. These tethers out here, they don't give a fuck. The Black and Brown Coalition, go on to the Black and Brown Coalition's homeland. And you go tell me how much they love each other with cartels going there, busting at schools and shit, and kidnapping motherfuckers off the street. That's the love, right? That's the love that these motherfuckers claim they have, and we hate each other so much. But when you go to these other places, go to Europe right now. Go to Europe right now, and I'm gonna tell you, you ain't gonna see a bunch of love. No. You're gonna see world wars, civil wars, all types of W's on W's crimes. You're gonna see tether on tether crime. You're gonna see POC on POC crime. But when you start talking about foundational Black Americans, you see excellence. Trust and believe when I tell you that shit. So never let somebody project their bullshit to us, because that's what it is. They only project their flaws on us, and they got a lot of flaws. So they sit back and say, how can we put this off on FBA? You can't put this off on FBA because FBA is too fucking strong and powerful. We got history documentation. Like I always saying, when we were speaking about how we created hip hop, when we speak about how we created America, built this country from scratch, we got documentation for what we do. We got facts on our side. These motherfuckers ain't got none of that. Only thing they got is they motherfucking mouse that they running. But today we G-check it. Today we regulate it like we always do. So when you see situations occur and all you see is us sticking up for each other, when you see us assisting and lifting each other up, my sister's on the ground, I'm helping her up. My brother fall, my sister's gonna help him up. We're gonna continue to do this thing because the person standing next to you is who's the most important. If you certified and you foundational, you are the most important. Go through your whole life and always remember that, family. Always remember that. There's nothing like family. Never treat family like friends and friends like family. We don't do that over here. Never treat family like friends and friends like family. We don't do that here. It starts with us. Why y'all think they're always trying to tell us it's wrong for us to love our own kind? Because they know that we love our own kind with a passion, and that's a threat to them. Why you think they want to separate the Black man from the Black woman? Because they know the Black man and the Black woman are together, and that's a threat to them. Don't get it twisted. Every time they come around and they say, don't love your own culture, don't represent who you are, don't even say FBA, y'all just stay away from that word. Let's call y'all something else, POCs, minorities, whatever the fuck. They do that shit because they know we ain't on it. If we were out here actually running with the lies that they tell us, they would never tell us any lies. The very fact that they have to tell us to fucking lie is because they know we doing something different. So no, the Black man and Black woman stronger than ever. Loving your own kind stronger than ever. representing our lineage, culture, and heritage stronger than ever. And this is what's got the game shook, and the last 5 years has been a true indication of it. So when they see us in the black grassroots, I'm talking about everybody from the new black media to our new activists to our new soldiers on the ground. When they see us out there helping and assisting everybody in Jackson, Mississippi, they are petrified of that. Because foundational black Americans built a country on our own. Let me tell you this, if you build a country on your own, the most wealthiest, powerful country on the planet, we did that. Okay, let's get this clear, straight, and mapped out. We built the strongest, wealthiest country in the world. So they know if we can build the strongest country on our own, then we can help Jackson, Mississippi on our own. Then we can help Flint, Michigan on our own. Then we can help every area where foundational black American freedman is suffering and being subjected to anti-black savage racism. They know that we can help them on our own. And if we can do for ourselves, and we can do it the way we do it, and we can do it with the excellence that we exude, then they ain't got no other choice but to bow the fuck down. So right now, looking at my certified clock, it's about time them motherfuckers bow down. FBA all day. Certified salute to the family. Let's get it. All right, hey boy, that was just the opening. I'm turned up today. Let's get it. All the way turned up. Hey, I woke up on 100 today. So let's get it. Let's do what we do. As we saying, the reason why I'm feeling that energy right now is because I'm seeing the family at work. Nothing gets me more turned up, more angst, and more motivated than when I see foundational black Americans out here in these streets putting it down. The internet is cool, typing on keyboards is cool, intellectual conversations and dialogue is cool, but it's about transmitting truth to power. I'm talking about really taking what you say, what you think, what you seen in a movie, in a documentary, whatever, however you got the information. Taking that information and putting it out here in these streets and affecting real change that affects real lives. That is what motivates me, and I'm pretty sure that's what motivates the whole team, because results are what counts. We are in the results era. This ain't the wait 10 years era, the wait 400 years era, wait until the next generation, the generation for the dominant society to wake up on Thursday afternoon at 2 o'clock and say we're gonna be nice to black folks. This ain't that fucking era. If anybody's expecting that fucking era, your ass is too fucking late, because we right now are about getting results in real time. Everything has to be done. Everything has to be certified. And if it is not, we ain't fucking with it. We ain't fucking with it at all. So when we sit back and we watch situations occur and we watch these situations affect our brothers and sisters, we up, we turn. I mean, we going there. Like black folks right now, we not waiting. In Mason, Tennessee, what black folks do? They got the fuck up, went there and got shit done. In California, Power 106, what black folks do? They got the fuck up, went there and got shit done. With these reparations councils out there on the West Coast, what black folks do? They got the fuck up, went out there and got shit done. We out here for real. People have to see us. When they was crashing them fucking fish fry little whatever the fucks Jim Coon Clyburn was putting together, what black folks do? They got the fuck up and they went to be seen. We gotta be seen. We gotta be saw right now. We gotta be witnessed. Everything we doing, you gonna have to bear witness to what foundational black Americans is on. This shit where we talking from some fucking tunnel or we yelling at our TV. Y'all remember back in the day when people be yelling at the TV, that's wrongs. George Zimmerman's was wrongs, man. Why? Why can't he go to jail? Come on. I'm not here to scream at CNN. I'm not here to scream at MSNBC. I'm not here to scream at ABC. I'm here for the motherfuckers to see me. And when they see me, they gonna have to see the family. They gonna have to see all of y'all right there in the chat right now. Certified salute to y'all. I love you. You know that. They gonna have to see us face to face, eye to eye, and we gonna move some motherfucking furniture and we gonna get shit done the foundational way. Foundational all day. And I see the same scenarios occurring every single aspect. If you look, we're not out here saying, please give us a crime bill. We saying, you gonna give us a crime bill or you ain't getting no vote. We ain't out here saying, please give us some reparations. We saying, no reparations, no vote. We're not out here saying, please give us tangibles if you could just give us 2. No, we saying we want all the motherfucking tangibles that belong to us or you ain't getting no motherfucking vote. We're giving motherfuckers ultimatums and they're gonna have to pay up or they're gonna have to get the fuck out. That's the way the game is. That's the way the game is played. And foundational black American certified energy is everywhere. It's all over this whole fucking world right now. It's all over the whole nation. And everybody sees it the same way we see it. Only difference is when we see it, we get motivated. When they see it, they get scared. And like I always say right here on the Black Alpha Network, y'all, make sure you subscribe to the channel. I appreciate it. I always say, if we got them shook and we got them scared, then they gonna be some shook and scared motherfuckers then, because we ain't changing our ways. We done planted our feet in the soil. We done stood 10 toes down and we don't budge. We don't fold. That's the difference. See, back in the days, motherfuckers would fold all the time. Quick as hell. You had the first motherfucker who just said he's gonna fold anyway. He just tell you, I'm just gonna go sit down. I don't want no troubles, nice. Let's quit rocking that boats, y'all. You had that motherfucker. And then you got the fake motherfucker who acted like he's on that shit. He act like he tough. He act like he's about real black activism, but he wasn't. He wasn't. He was softer than carnival cotton candy, and he'll fold like a lawn chair. Y'all know what I'm talking about. You know that motherfucker go out there and put on his fake militant hat and his fake... You see a lot of these motherfuckers in these Twitter spaces. They talk all that revolutionary shit until it's time to get revolutionary. Then they tuck their fucking tail and they hide. Y'all know what I'm saying? The person who's Fred Hampton at his house, Geronimo Pratt in private. As soon as he closed that goddamn door, he become Geronimo Pratt, Huey Newton, Bobby Seale, all in one. And as soon as his ass goes to work, he turned into Al Sharpton. That motherfucker went from goddamn Malcolm X to Tavis Smiley. As soon as the W showed up. He be out there talking about, we gonna regulate the man, not today. He will atone for all of the things that he has caused our people. I will not be moved by the presence of the man. And as soon as the man show up and say, Jerome, sit your ass down, he say, okay. Ain't none of that shit going on. The fake rock the boat motherfucker, the Geronimo Pratt motherfucker behind closed doors, but the Carnell West in front of camera, nah, the motherfuckers don't exist in our world. They cannot exist in our presence because this is a certified time and this is the B1 era. So when you B1, you let things be known and you ain't afraid of being seen. You ain't afraid of being eye to eye with somebody. Matter of fact, we prefer it. We prefer it. We prefer to be in the presence of anybody who running their mouth about foundational black Americans. We prefer to be in the presence of anybody trying to undermine foundational black Americans. And we prefer to see these motherfuckers out here in these streets and not over a computer. Cause y'all know the smoke changes real quick when foundational black Americans do what we call the pull up. That's why we call it the pull up summer. I say it's the pull up season. And this season ain't 4 quarters. This season is year round. That's why we came up with it. Why you think we got to pull up? We pulling up because we want to be motherfucking seen. You can do anything behind closed doors. They can say anything when they on the camera, when they down the street and around the corner, but they know when foundational black Americans is at their front door, they change their whole fucking energy. All that tough guy, tough woman shit that they be talking on the fucking internet and Twitter spaces, the news, whatever, they don't pull that shit when we right then and there. They don't pull that shit because they know better. And we know that they know better. So therefore, all that black folks, y'all need to do this and do that. That shit turns into, I understand. I get it, but no, I feel what you're saying. They know what fucking time it is. FBA run the yard, and we've been running the yard, and we've been had these motherfuckers in check. And that's why we sitting here right now telling everybody we don't need nobody's help. We may point out the motherfuckers who try to play us, but at the end of the day, we got us. Let me say that one more time. We can point out motherfuckers who try to play us, who try to hustle us, who try to bamboozle us or con us. We're pointing the motherfuckers out. But we got us at the end of the day. And by having us and holding each other down and being self-sufficient, we're going to G-check motherfuckers in the process. Remember, FBA can regulate your ass on the way to the bank. All right, we don't have to stop, pull the car over, and go waste time. No, we can G-check your ass and cash our reparations check in the same motion. That's how the fuck we get down. So when we travel to Jackson, Mississippi, and we've all seen it, it's all over the news, or shall I say, it's all over the new black media news, because the mainstream is not touching this. The mainstream is trying to bring up everything else. You guys notice that anytime something happens to foundational black Americans that they cannot hide, they immediately start trying to throw out other stories. Right now, listen, if something goes down with us, and it's something that they can't really play with, all of a sudden they say, look at the Ukraine. Oh, no, look what's going on over in Russia right now. Oh, no, did y'all see what's going on at the border? Hey, let's look at the other side of the planet so we don't have to focus on what's going down with foundational black Americans. You see what I'm saying about making your presence felt? Because if you do not make your presence felt, if you do not pull up on motherfuckers, pull up season, if you do not knock on front doors, if you don't walk in yards, if you don't pull that goddamn car up in the driveway, these motherfuckers is just gonna act like it don't exist. But you ain't never gonna act like FBA don't exist. We too fucking strong. And we gonna get what we got, and we gonna get everything that's owed to us. And you don't get it by falling back. You get it by standing up. And that's what we're doing. We're standing up for each other. You see, they're going to put all these other news stories in the cycle just so they can undermine us. The same way they try to undermine us politically, socially, they try to do the same thing with these crises. And it always seems to be a crisis. And these crises in particular always seem to be the same exact ones that affect foundational black Americans. That's why they say there are some disproportionate elements There's always some disparities that affect foundational black Americans. What the fuck you think that is then? That's called anti-black racism. Don't ever let them use con words, trick words, or speak in ambiguous terms or speak in the abstract. They do that shit once again so they can take the spotlight off of us the same way they tell you to focus on Europe and focus on the Ukraine. Shit that don't even have anything to do with us. Things that occur right here in these borders affect foundational black Americans, and they're upset because foundational black Americans are only focused on our issues. And remember what I told you. The reason why they want us to not love each other is because we do love each other. The reason why they want us to not represent our culture, because we do represent our culture. And the reason why they always want to keep us separated, because they know that we function stronger together. And that's exactly how we are. That's exactly what we're doing. And that's exactly what is going on. So as I see my brothers and sisters going down to Jackson, Mississippi to help, and you see the situation, the way it plays out, you got to understand supremacy and the different elements of supremacy. When you start talking about environmental racism, then that's a real complex situation, and that's got a lot of different meanings behind it, and that's got a lot of different elements that you got to observe, but you got to have that trained eye to see it. See, what they'll tell you is a flood came through here, right? And it skipped over the W side of town. It went around the people of color side of town. It hopped, skipped, and jumped past all of them, but the flood located itself right where the black population is 88.5%. In the system of supremacy, they weaponize everything against the victims of supremacy. And since water is the most important, essential item on the planet, then they will weaponize water. And that's why we call it water warfare. And you combine it with anti-black racism, and you got Jackson, Mississippi, and across the country. You see what I'm talking about? That's called environmental racism. Doesn't it always seem that these floods go around all these other fucking areas, but they always seem to affect foundational black Americans the most? Doesn't it always seem like these pipes bust, or these pipes are old, or these pipes malfunction, where it specifically affects foundational black Americans? I mean, it's a pretty big country, you know what I'm saying? There's 50 states, and there's so many different people. We talk about a melting pot. We talk about all the diversity. How come the diversity don't ever have water crisis? How come the people of color don't have water crisis? How come the melting pot don't have water crisis? How come these water crises and the major water crisis of the last 20 years have always affected foundational black American cities? And I'm talking about in the north and the south. Flint, Michigan. Flint, Michigan is way up north. It's about an hour and a half from Canada. Okay, let's get that straight. Jackson, Mississippi is down south in the deep depths of the south. It don't get more down south than Mississippi. So you mean to tell me in the north and in the south, Michigan and Mississippi both have water crises that are the biggest water crisis that you could think of, and it affected majority black populations, and it ain't got something to do with anti-black racism? Yeah, motherfucking right. Yeah, right. You see, what these people want to do is they want to affect foundational black Americans in different manners. See, they can't just run up on foundational black Americans. They can't send race soldiers after foundational black Americans. They can't preschool to prison pipeline us, railroad us. Then they got to say, let's get them where they'll never see it coming. They like to do things that are on the slide, things that are hidden. That's what they always want to do. And that's the thing about environmental racism. You got to understand, environmental racism is the reason why black folks are drinking poor water. It's the reason why black folks are going to prison in the worst conditions. Down in Mississippi, you heard stories just a few years ago where brothers were in prisons, and the same thing in Louisiana, where black men are in prisons telling everybody, we don't have efficient water. We don't get fed. We live in the worst conditions that are not fit for human beings. And these brothers were dying in prison, and nobody gave a fuck. The world kept spinning, and they said, oh, by the way, everybody, did you see what's happening over there in the UK right now? See what I'm talking about? That's how they play you when it comes to environmental racism. It's some shit that will slide the fuck in, and if you ain't certified, you ain't gonna catch it. But we certified, so we see it every day. As a matter of fact, the new black media, everybody was covering it. It's always real in our world, and that's why I always put the onus on us being out here and pulling the fuck up. That's what it is. If you ain't gonna give it, then we gonna take it. And that's the only way shit gets done. Because if you sit back and you yell at the fucking TV, or you play black militant in your house and you put on all your Black Panther clothes and shit and go stare at the mirror, that don't mean shit, because you ain't getting nothing done. We get things done. FBA all day, certified all the time. So the new black media was covering these prison conditions and how they were using the environment to inflict anti-black racism on black Americans. This is what we seen. We saw it. Everybody knows it. Matter of fact, a lot of us have family members that were affected by this. A brother, I'm not going to say his name, he's a well-known brother and a lot of us know him. He was speaking about how one of his family members was in prison in the Deep South, and I'm not going to say the name, I'm going to show respect to everybody, but he was talking about how one of his family members was in prison in the Deep South and was telling everybody, hey, listen, these conditions are not fit for human beings. This shelter is not fit for human beings. While you got all these other W's at these fucking jails that look like country clubs, okay? They're in there playing putt-putt golf and shit. They eating fucking 5 meals a day. Any prison that is in a majority black area, a majority black county, or has majority black inmates, the conditions look just like Flint, Michigan and Jackson, Mississippi, just with bars. Let me say that one more time. The conditions of some of these prisons in America that house black inmates look just like Flint, Michigan and Jackson, Mississippi, just with bars. Okay, it's a cell block with bad water. It's a cell block with polluted food. It's a cell block with toxins all over the place. And the new black media has been covering that shit for years. And a lot of us, as I said, personally know what's going on. And the brother that I was speaking of who told that story did a real good job of explaining it. And it's something that I can relate to because I understand people who are in the same situations. And I'm talking about East Coast to West Coast, from pillar to post, North and the South. That is environmental racism. Trust and believe, jail is environmental racism. Yes, it is. The same way your water pipes being fucked up or having fucking toxins in your drinking water. It's all the same exact thing. It's just anti-black racism being seen in the form of environmental. And you got to remember the 4 E's, okay? The 4 E's in which anti-black racism affects foundational black Americans. You have anti-black racism in the form of environment. You have anti-black racism in the form of education. You have anti-black racism in the form of economics. And you have anti-black racism in the form of enforcement. Damn right. Oh, hey, we cooking today. We smashing. Foundational black Americans are in the building. Certified Black Society. We going. I hope y'all enjoying the Black AlphaCast, man, because we pulling up and we back at it again. So let's go there. We're going to break it all down. Salute to the family. One love. Much respect. As always, 24/7, 365. Let's break this down. And this is something that we came up with on the Black Alpha Network on this side, just to bring absolute clarity to the situation and to really break down anti-black racism in the dominant society to the morsel. I'm talking about to the core, so ain't nothing left unturned and ain't no confusion. We ain't here for confusion, we here for clarity, and that's what we're gonna bring. So let's break down the 4 E's of anti-black racism and how it affects foundational black American freedmen, Black Alpha Network style. So the first one, we're talking about environmental anti-black racism. That's where they use regentrification, as we're talking about in the prisons as well. But when you talk about regentrification, oh, they love hurricanes, tornadoes, floods. They always use those situations as an excuse to run black folks out and to move in every other group. See Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans for that example. They got a long history of that shit, and we see it all the way to this day. What my man say? To this day, you still seeing it going on. Economics, we all understand economics, how they try to socially and economically deprive foundational black Americans so they can keep us as a permanent underclass, move every fucking group who ever came here above us, give them access to things they would never give us access to, and deny us 24/7 while they grant everybody else, including non-American citizens, so they can bury us under immigration and under tethers and all that. That is the E that represents economics. So we have environmental and we have economics. Those are both 2 different practices of anti-black racism. Next, education. We all know how that works. We've all seen that one close up. We know how they miseducate our children. Hell, how they miseducate adults, how they're always trying to steer you away from the truth, how they're always trying to run mind games. And the best way they try to do it is they try to intellectualize it. That's the E when it comes to education in terms of anti-black racism that they practice. Once again, that's environmental, that is economics, and that is education. And on to the last one, and that is enforcement. And that's pretty clean and that's cut and dry. We know exactly what it is. When you have race soldiers pulling folks over for broken taillights, when you have race soldiers running up in people's house like they do in Ohio every other fucking weekend, when you have the Corinne Gaines, you have the Sandra Blands of the world, you have the Breonna Taylors of the world, this is the enforcement side. And this is what goes on a day-to-day basis. Now, when I talk about environmental, they enforce that. When I talk about education, they enforce that. When I talk about economics, they enforce that. The person who works at the bank, who's there to deny loans for foundational black Americans, he is just as responsible and he is just as a culprit as the race soldier who runs around here and pulls black folks over for no reason or chokes black folks for selling fake cigarettes. They are both two heads of the same snake operating in an anti-black culture, and it all goes back to those 4 E's that I talk about. And you will find anti-black racism in either one of those categories, and it will all be done to serve the same agenda, and that is an anti-black agenda. So I bring this all back. I took you out the ocean, I'm gonna bring you to shore. Now when I break all these things down, now you can see the clarity of it. As we talk about how they economically try to keep us deprived, as we talk about how they try to enforce this upon us, and we talk about how they try to miseducate us, you got to understand that the environmental aspect of it, that is just as potent, because they run that on us a lot of times and black folks don't even catch it. No, they gloss right over that shit because they always try to push things off as a natural disaster. Y'all know what I'm talking about. It's always, it affects us all. Everybody's affected. They'll start playing the Star Spangled Banner. This is how black folks miss this shit. This is how they miss it. Certifieds, we see through it. Like I said, you got to have that trained eye. You got to be able to see the environmental racism the same way you can see the economic racism, the same way you can see the miseducation racism. You got to be able to see them both. But motherfuckers get too caught in their feelings. They play some sad motherfucking country songs or the Star Spangled Banner on fucking TV. They'll be talking about the hurricane came, blew our roof away. And they'll show motherfuckers crying and shit all over TV. And they'll say, oh, it's an us problem. Oh, it affects us all. And then when you look at the population of these places, consistently, it's always areas of foundational black Americans. We are affected by these things coincidentally, some fucking how, disproportionate to everybody else. Even in states where black Americans only represent 2% of the overall state, it happened in a county where we represent 80% of the population. How the fuck does that make sense unless that is targeted? That's environmental racism. And when you understand environmental racism, you got to see the first thing they'll do is they'll have news coverage. Okay, that's that miseducation I'm talking about. Everything we go say is going to have receipts behind it. Oh, we own it today. We own it today. Smash that like button 100 times. Black Alpha Network, BAN. Now, when you see these news articles and you start to see these news segments, they always put who in front of the camera? They'll always put someone from the dominant society in front of the camera. They'll talk about Karen and Ken and their 2 little boys. Talk about how the water's so bad in their town. But in reality, Bob and Sally only represent about 1% of that population because the majority of folks are foundational black American freedmen. But see, they can't show you the majority of folks are foundational black Americans because you're going to start to say, damn, this seems to always happen where black folks are. So they got to make it an us thing. See, they know when to make it a black thing, and then they know when to make it an American thing. Okay, if they start talking about propaganda, they start talking about blacks on blacks crime. Oh, they'll put black on it. Black, 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 blackity black. Anytime they're trying to lie on us, anytime they're hating on us, anytime they're trying to come up with some bullshit about us, they always got to say black. Anytime they're trying to hide their anti-black racism, then they'll say America. We as a people. We as a nation. Even though it affects black folks all the time the most, now we're going to say it's about America. We as a whole country have to stand together. We come together. Y'all remember that shit? They were saying that in Katrina. All that Americans come together shit. We all stand up as a nation. When you were literally seeing people watch black folks drowning on fucking TV. And they was eating popcorn. The fucking president flew over and was just looking out the goddamn window. Didn't give a fuck. The dominant society were forming little fucking militia groups and coming after black folks. Wasn't no goddamn we as a country. It ain't never been we as a country. It's been foundational black Americans as a lineage. That is what it has always been. That's what it will always be. And I'm cool with it. I'm all the way cool with it because we got each other's fucking back. We don't need nobody.
It's changed dramatically, tragically, and perhaps irreversibly. There's now over 25 feet of water where there was once city streets and thriving neighborhoods.
I hate the way they portray us in the media. If you see a black family, it says they're looting. You see a white family, it says they're looking for food. And you know it's been 5 days because most of the people are black. And even for me to complain about, I would be a hypocrite because I've tried to turn away from the TV because it's too hard to watch. I've even been shopping before even giving a donation. So now I'm calling my business manager right now to see what is the biggest amount I can give, and just to imagine if I was down there, and those are my people down there. So anybody out there that wants to do anything that we can help with the setup, the way America is set up to help the poor, the black people, the less well off as slow as possible. I mean, Red Cross is doing everything they can. We already realize a lot of the people that could help are at war right now, fighting another way, and they've given them permission to go down and shoot us.
And subtle, but in even many ways more profoundly devastating, is the lasting damage to the survivors' will to rebuild and remain in the area. The destruction of the spirit of the people of southern Louisiana and Mississippi may end up being the most tragic loss of all.
George Bush doesn't care about black people.
And I'm going to say it like this, and I always say it, forever. Shout out to Kanye for saying that. Now, you notice he was saying the same exact things. How can we help? It's always, once again, how can we help? That was almost 20 years ago, and we were asking, how can we help because the government can't? How can we help because the government's got people everywhere else fighting wars everywhere else, spending dollars everywhere else, and we got to once again go into our pockets. We was going into our pockets 20 years ago, we're going into our pockets today. It's the same exact thing. Whenever there's another situation or crisis with anybody else, they're not on TV saying, how can we donate? It is known, the government is there, the president throws a fucking press conference and lets you know, today I signed a law that allocated $29 billion to the suffering people or wherever the fuck. But whenever it comes down to a foundational black American freedman, we got to go into our pockets, start GoFundMe pages, and drive down there and go help our people. Well, goddamn it, we gonna do it. And the difference between then and now, and salute to everybody, is that the new black media certified black society and the B1 era is in full effect. So we gonna take care of our people. Trust me when I tell you that shit. So the money's going everywhere. The money's going overseas to people who are not American, and then it's also going to immigration. You could take right now, Mississippi has probably about 50,000 illegal immigrants, and that money's going right there. So when black folks have no water to drink, but the money's on the books, understand who that money's going to, because all those people who are non-Americans, all those people who are non-FBA, oh, their water is good. It's just foundational black Americans where you keep seeing this trend. And look, all over, you're starting to see it on the East Coast, the West Coast, up and down the South, more and more water alerts, more and more water issues. Yeah, and it's always in foundational black American populated places, family. That right there is a play that we are calling out. As I was making this across the timeline, you start seeing more FBA located areas that were coming under water alerts. Come on, as we speaking, it's happening. In 1993, Milwaukee, Wisconsin had a water issue alert. Yeah, they did. And it lasted a few weeks and cleaned it up. But when you start talking about places like Alabama, Flint, Michigan, Jackson, Mississippi, Denmark, South Carolina, they haven't had clean water in eons. Once again, a play that we recognize. And you got to be real cautious when you start talking about the National Guard showing up in these places. See, naturally, people ask for help and they wait for the National Guard and all these authority figures to come up. But what do? They don't go down there to help us. They don't go down there to assist us. Then you start hearing stories about how they were harming us. They went down to Hurricane Katrina, and what happened? The National Guard and all these people were down there assaulting black folks. The same people who are there to protect you and to assist you are the same ones who come down there and harm you. That's why it's once again evident that we take care of each other and we're self-sufficient. I'd rather go down there and get 25 of my brothers and sisters and provide protection, provide assistance, provide help than bring in a federal person who's 2 weeks late and he's got orders not to come down there and promote black people's welfare. He has orders to come down there and to assault black people. And everything that belongs to those black people, they end up giving to everybody else. So what's the fucking point? The damn National Guard and the government doesn't give you $1. The National Guard and the government is always 2-3 weeks late. The National Guard and the government prioritize everyone else except for us. And the National Guard and the government comes down there and contributes to the problem and doesn't ever help black folks. How many times have you ever seen black folks' testimonies where they say it got better when these people got here? You don't see that. A lot of times you see, we waited for them, and when they got here, nothing changed. We are the change that we want to see. We are the change that we will see because foundational black Americans got water warfare. That's exactly what it is. You can't see it, but it sees us. This is how they play us. Water warfare, something that we can't pinpoint until it's too late. They understand that. This is how wild the dominant society and supremacy is. And let me say this and let me pull up and say shout out to a brother named Moses West. Okay, shout out to him. You guys make sure you look him up and make sure you understand what's going on. He's created an atmospheric water generation program. Okay, it's a water generation system and it helps purify water and it helps get real water to real people. He's raising money. He's getting his money up so we can all build, so we can all grind. So make sure you look him up and support him and other brothers and sisters like them who have water purification systems. Other ones who are out there on the ground handing out water, giving out water, just anything that we're doing so we can help assist each other. Make sure that we all get get behind them, we can donate to them, we can lift them up, because we are all we got. Look again, that's another foundational Black American taking care of foundational Black Americans, when the dominant society who's sitting on trillions of dollars that we created, sitting on more money than they can count, but they send it to everybody except for us. So we out there on the grind. So salute to them brothers and sisters, and make sure you get behind them and support them. Now look, Baltimore has a water alert, and you're going to start seeing it all across the world in Black cities near you. And we've been calling it out right here in New Black Media, and we're going to continue to call it out in New Black Media, because before you know it, you're going to turn on your TV, look at your timeline, and it's going to start popping up all over the place. It ain't going to be the ones and twos. It ain't going to be just the Flint, Michigans, and the Mississippis. It's going to be all over the place. Black city here, Black city there, Black city there, and it's going to come up quick. This is water warfare. And they do this in a lot of places. Y'all remember we talked about reverse migration. We talked about how we can build places in the South, or even places in the Midwest. They love going to these Black dominated areas, so now they can get people to move out. They don't want folks moving in and turning it into a political block. They don't want that. They want us to move out. So they'll say, let's mess with the water. Let's hit them with some water warfare. So when they try to come here and move, we can get them to leave. And that way we can weaken them politically and socially. It's all a big game, but we own it. That's why it happens in so many places where foundational Black Americans have the biggest population. It's not just to get a lot of us at one time, it's to also prevent us from getting power. You'll never see this in sanctuary cities, because they want everybody to go there so everybody can be uplifted. But once we want to all convene in one area, once we want to go and take a spot where we have numbers, where we have actual people, and turn it into something powerful, they say, let's do something to disrupt them from doing it. Let's do something to prevent them from doing it. And then you get shit like water alerts. Ain't no coincidence, man. Because it's proven when we do our own thing, we get shit done. When all these other motherfuckers want to get involved and slide in, all they doing is coming trying to get what we got. And you can't have what we got because it only belongs to us. So no, the sad country songs, the Star Spangled Banner, America the fucking beautiful, all your little news articles and news segments where you're showing every other group except for us, that shit ain't happening. And at the end of the day, that's not going to play into my emotions. That is not going to play into my emotions. It's the same thing they do to Black folks when it comes to voting. How they play into Black folks' emotions, how they try to make Black folks scared, how they make Black folks hide, that type of shit. That's the same thing they do with environmental racism. It's the same exact thing. They'll show all these little pictures of Sally with her little fucking cat Snowflake and her little dog Muffy, and the dog's all wet and shivering, and they'll say, oh my God, how we're all affected as human beings. Oh, we're all affected as Americans. Let's come together. They'll even start to put together donations that never seem to find foundational Black Americans. Ain't it funny how we can start our own donation drives? We can start our own GoFundMe, and our money gets to FBAs. Our money gets to the freedmen. How the fuck can these national ones, I'm talking about they having whole fucking telethons. Anybody who's old enough to remember Hurricane Katrina, they had 24/7 telethons. And I know folks personally in the 9th Ward that didn't get a fucking penny. But yet us in the New Black Media, us in Certified Black Society, us in foundational Black Americans, we can get together money and bottle water and get it to the people. How the fuck can't the government? You see what I'm talking about? Because that money that they're building is going to little Sally, it's going to Snowflake, and it's going to Muffy, and it ain't going to foundational Black American freedmen, which is reason 992 why we don't give a fuck, and we all we got, and we stick up for each other. That's what it's all about. If you're going looking for anybody else, if you're looking for a helping hand, if you're looking for we as a people, or we as human beings, they be talking about we as human beings and shit. Like fucking we being invaded by aliens. They'll bring up motherfucking aliens if it means they can take the spotlight off of the injustices that foundational Black Americans have to live through every single day. But we see their ass. Oh yeah, we see the forest through the trees, baby. Yes, indeed. So this is what's going on right now. You see it. And we're not falling for all the fake news articles or any of that shit. Because during Hurricane Katrina, they made it a point to show everybody except for Black folk. During Flint, Michigan, they made it a point to show everybody except for Black folks. And right now, if you watching, they're showing everybody except for Black folks. They'll sprinkle in a couple Black folks here. They know how to do it. They know how to do it real sneaky, right? Because you're dealing with a bunch of snake motherfuckers. And when you're dealing with a snake, you're going to get snake type shit. They know how to do this thing so they can confuse folks and play into their emotion. As I said, it's the same thing they do politically. The same exact way. The same way they'll say, don't vote for him, he's racist. It's the same way they say, we all Americans, don't go stick up for FBAs, don't go give them the bottled water. Don't give it to your own kind, give it to everybody. You wrong now. That's the type of shit they be on. And you ain't seen one Black politician step up. You ain't seen one person from the Black Coon Caucus step up. Of course they're not, because they are some suckers too. So it shows you again When we got to get things done, we get things done. So salute to all my brothers and sisters on the ground. I'm seeing more black activists on Twitter than I'm seeing in Washington, D.C. And I mean that shit. I mean that. I ain't stutter. I said that shit with conviction. That is exactly what's happening. It's the same thing that happened with Mason, Tennessee. We got black folks in Twitter spaces doing more than these politicians who get paid millions of dollars a year because they're only getting paid to do butter biscuit, tap dance, coon walks, and to take our tangibles and give it to everybody else. And remember this, the same exact way that they take our tangibles, our hate crime laws, our reparations money, and they give it to everybody else, that's the same way they take our drinking water, our bottled water, and our food and give it to everybody else. Trust and believe. They don't just do that shit halfway, they do that shit completely. The same way they want to take reparations money out your pocket and to go give it to somebody who's non-FBA is the same way they want to take all that bottled water, tap water, and clean water and go give it to somebody who's non-FBA. That's exactly what they do across the board. So you got to see it, you got to witness it, and you got to call that shit out. Once again, we cooking today. Now, when you see it and you watch it, notice how they understand when to put black on something, and then they understand when to say we as humans, we as Americans, whatever. When they want to start talking about crime and they want to start talking about statistics, they'll say blacks did it, and they won't move the needle. But when they start talking about things that show their anti-black racism, then they won't say black no more. The same motherfucker that wants to say black every 2 minutes, the same motherfucker who always wants to point out black folks and nobody else, even though other groups in other areas have far worse statistics in which we've already presented, which everybody in the new black media has already presented, and what every certified foundational black American freedman already knows that these other groups have the worst numbers. They'll still say black. But let it come to some shit where black folks is out here putting in work. Let it come to some shit where black folks is out here pulling up. Then all of a sudden they say, no. We as Americans. Oh no, we only want to put fake blame on black folks. We only want to project our own flaws on the black people. But when it comes to actually showing black folks holding it down, getting to the bag, getting to the money, picking each other up, elevating each other, then all of a sudden they want to say, oh no, they're doing that for everyone. And this is why this era right here is so significant, because we're not falling for those games. We ain't falling for the trick bag. Matter of fact, I told y'all that trick bag is empty. I'm telling you, they cutting up their goddamn hands. They all in the fucking bag, can't pull out nothing. They ain't getting no fucking returns. As a matter of fact, they better go get a motherfucking refund, because every dollar, every cent that they've paid to stop foundational black Americans from holding each other down, to stop foundational black Americans from uplifting each other, and to stop foundational black Americans from getting things accomplished has not worked. They out of money now. They out of money. They can't tell us don't go donate, because we're going to donate. They can't tell us don't go raise funds, because we're going to raise funds. They can't tell us don't go pull up, because we're going to pull up. And shout out to our brothers and sisters out here who are doing it. If you really want to help foundational black Americans, understand that ain't coming from Washington. It's going to come from your own bank account. We cool with that. I'm completely fine with that. I'm fine with helping our brothers and sisters out at any way. If we all got to get together, get a big old pot of fucking money, and then drive the goddamn money down and hand the fucking money out individually to foundational black Americans, we will do it. We've been doing it. That's what I'm saying. Remember how I started this episode off and I said we've been doing this shit since slavery? We was out in the slave fields in the worst conditions, in the worst environment, picking each other up, saying it's okay, you gonna be good. I know you don't think you got any more in you. Fine, come on, let's do this, brother. That's the same shit we doing now. We just doing it in the 21st century. Trust and believe me. Black folks is out here getting it in, and we are holding each other down. You know, right here on the Black Alpha Network, I center all this in foundational black American excellence. You ain't never gonna hear me in this shit saying, man, we needs to do's betters. We's our own worst enemy. No, the fuck we not. We our own family. That's what the fuck foundational black Americans are. So when you talk about a lineage, a culture, and a heritage that was holding each other down on the plantation, that was holding each other down on the village, you know goddamn well we gonna get this done. Facts. And another fact I want everybody to notice, as I drew the comparisons between the political situation and how they try to do this on the political world and try to scare black folks and play those games with us, they do the same things in this element as well. You got to be real careful. Right now down there in Jackson, Mississippi, they're trying to turn this into a Republican-Democrat thing. See, anytime they're in a bind or anytime they don't have an answer, they can't come up with something, they'll just start saying, you did it, no, you did it, no, you did it, no, you did it. We all know that liberals and conservatives, Republicans and Democrats are equally anti-black. We all know that shit. We all know that they're equally anti-black. But what they want to do is they want to point the finger back and forth with each other. They'll only ever even bring up racism when they can dump it on each other. Y'all know that. If you ask them right now, is America racist? They'll say no. If you ask them right now, do we have a race problem in America? They'll say no. If you ask them, is there even 1 fucking percent of racism in America? They'll say no. But you ask them, is the other party racist? They'll say yeah. You see what I'm talking about? So right now, you see them playing this game where you got the mayor and then you got the governor and they're saying, you did it, no, you did it, no, you did it. And all they're doing is using foundational black Americans, the victims of the situation. They're using us as political footballs.
On Monday, when the Republican governor of Mississippi made the stark announcement that the water system in the capital city of Jackson had failed, there was someone notably absent from the dais, the Democratic mayor of Jackson. Local news outlets later reported that he had not been invited to the governor's news conference. And although the mayor has since argued that both the city and the state are working together, it seems quite apparent that there is a disconnect between state and local leadership. And that breakdown could not come at a worse time. The water crisis facing Jackson comes at a point in which the city is already grappling with a dire set of circumstances. 1 in 4 residents live in poverty. And in some of the hardest hit parts of Jackson, the average household makes just $25,000 a year. In some cases, affected households are pulling in just $15,000 annually. Since the year 2000, the annual median household income in Jackson has dropped about $6,500, which amounts to a whopping 15%.
And she left out that it's 80+% black, the same way Flint, Michigan was. Didn't I tell you? They'll sit there and tell you all these statistics because they want you to think it happens to everybody. In reality, it's black. Now, if she was sitting there talking about black on black crime, she would have sat there and said, it's all black folks between the ages of 0 to 200. It's all black folk. But now when you start talking about black people being victims, she wants to remove the word black and then put in everybody. Y'all know damn well the dominant society never wants to not say black. So anytime they don't say black, you know they're only doing it for their bullshit ass reasons. They're punting that shit back and forth to each other while the work is not getting done. While people are still out there in the worst conditions. When you don't have water, see, understand this, okay? Water is a necessity, all right? You have to have water. Water ain't no game. We're not playing with water up in here, okay? When you start talking about having water and what happens when you do not have water, that ain't no means for political games. That ain't no Democrat, Republican. That ain't no back and forth. And that just shows you what it's like when people don't give a damn. Now, when people in the Ukraine don't have water, they flying in the whole motherfucking ocean and dumping it on their porch. When the folks at the border, separated by Trump, when they don't have water, they taking money out the fucking treasury and saying, here's a whole motherfucking ocean. Here's the Great Lakes. Here's a fucking pond. We sending this shit in quick. The National Guard is coming in. How come that never happens with us? And then they'll say the National Guard comes in and they'll say they call them in. First off, they always call them in 20 goddamn days late. Even when you know the situation's in full swing, they'll say the National Guard's here. And then they get there and what they do, they go help everybody else. It don't go like that. Look right now with the Ukraine situation as we talk about this politically. Joe Biden right now is handing out money to the Ukraine. They cashing checks. They giving these motherfuckers coins. All right, them motherfuckers is like Scrooge McDuck. All right, they're giving them fucking gold coins, silver coins, dollar bills, any form of currency that can be provided, unlimited. They are handing it over to the Ukrainians. Right now, Jackson, Mississippi, one of the poorest places, one of the poorest counties, one of the poorest cities in America. With the water crisis, have you seen anybody talking about money? Matter of fact, the only people you see talking about money that's going to solve the situation are the Black Grassroots. Again, the Black Grassroots has done more for Jackson, Mississippi than the federal government has. The federal government right now is too full giving money to everybody except for Americans. And not just foundational black Americans. No, they're giving money to motherfuckers outside of these borders. They're just handing it away. Straight up and down. Joe Biden's on television talking about some $20 more million, $15 million, $2 billion. I mean, how many times have you seen them give money to the Ukraine? How many times? Like, I've lost count. Like, it's like literally every fucking week you're seeing it. You probably lost count and you seen that shit all summer. Going way back to the springtime, they was giving them money. We done lost count. I lost count probably at 27. I'm not talking $27. I'm talking about time 27, they gave them over $1 million. I've lost fucking count. They're getting all the money. But right here, these folks can't get nothing done. They not helping them. You got folks living in hotels. Oh yes, Jackson State University, Deion Sanders, salute to Deion. He said he had to get his players up out of there. He had to put his players in a fucking hotel. He had to do it. And let's get this right. Deion Sanders is doing a lot of things for HBCUs. Deion Sanders is challenging a lot of the ways of the dominant society, a hustle scheme that is college athletics. And now they got his ass up in a fucking hotel with dirty water trying to get him like this.
We hit with a little crisis. The city of Jackson, we don't have water. Water means we don't have air conditioning. We can't use toilets. We don't have water. Therefore, we don't have ice, which pretty much places a burden on the program. So right now, we're operating in crisis mode. I got to get these kids off campus, the ones that live on campus, the one that lives in the city of Jackson, into a hotel and accommodate them so that they can shower properly and take care of their just needs. Make sure all our kids are fed and all our kids have the necessities of life for the next several days until this crisis resides. That's what we're operating in right now. So we're going to find somewhere to practice, find somewhere that can accommodate every darn thing that we need and desire to be who we desire to be. The devil is a lie. You ain't gonna get us today, baby.
See what I'm talking about? Now, y'all know goddamn well if that was Harvard University, or if that was Yale, or if that was any university that housed a bunch of W's, that wouldn't be happening. They put them in an Airbnb. Matter of fact, think about that. Football players from Jackson State University, predominantly foundational Black Americans, are in a water crisis and they're having to be put in hotels. And let's be honest, that hotel money is probably donations again. The same way they all have to rely on donations. Because remember, anytime it affects foundational Black Americans, we get donations. Anytime it affects somebody else, they get stimulus. Okay? With the goddamn government White House seal stamped on the shit. Joe Biden's autographing the motherfuckers. You feel me? But those brothers and sisters out there in Jackson, Mississippi, they got to go to hotels and shit and go stay up in there. Motherfuckers from Harvard and Yale would be good to go, but even bigger than that, the folks at the border separated by Trump, they're in Airbnbs. Look at that. Think about that. Non-Americans who came here on their own accord are in Airbnbs and are getting $400,000 allowance checks, where Black American students are forced to go live in a fucking hotel during a water crisis. This is America. Once again, you're seeing it play out all across the board, and ain't no way, shape, or form anybody can spin that. I know they're gonna try to spin it, all right, but we're gonna spin that motherfucker right back around. They're gonna have to deal with this. They're gonna have to get this work. Straight up, they're gonna get this work. New Black media, stay on game. So this is what we're seeing, and you're consistently seeing it all over. The damn mayor or governor, whoever the fuck, they out there and said, you can bathe, just don't open your mouth.
Well, more long lines are expected today in Jackson, Mississippi, as people wait desperately for water. Now, this is day 5 of the growing crisis that's forced schools and businesses to close. People are now being told to shower with their mouths closed because the water isn't safe. Elise Preston is in Jackson.
You can listen to that shit. This is how pathetic they are and how much they don't give a fuck. You tell somebody you can bathe in the water. This is how toxic the water is, family. You can bathe in the water, but just don't open your mouth. Now, you know, like I know, first off, if you get in the shower, it's going to get in your mouth, okay? Just that's what happens, okay? When water hits your face, then that's going to happen. But second off, so you mean to tell me the water is bad enough that you can't even have it in your mouth, but it's good enough to put all over your body? Family, that's like somebody saying, go ahead, you can walk across the street during traffic, just do it with one eye open. That's somebody who's trying to walk you to misery. Understand that. They would never say nothing like that to anybody who's non-Black. Oh no, they wouldn't. Only when it comes to FBAs would you ever hear a motherfucker say, oh, go ahead, get in the shower, just don't open your mouth or your eyes too. Cause you know, you got eyes too, you know. Okay, it could go in your eyes as well. No. Don't worry about your eyes. Don't worry about any of that. Just keep your mouth closed and you can bathe. Get the fuck out of here. That is somebody who is purposely letting you know they want you gone. And they can't do it in a direct way because remember, they never come at us direct. I say that all the time on the Black Alpha Network. Anti-Black racism, anti-foundational Black American racism, it never comes through the front door. It's always going to come in through the fucking window, the back door, the chimney. It's going to slide in through the fucking roof, the attic, the basement, because they know they got to deal with us face to face. They'll never win. So they got to try to trick you. If somebody knows they got to trick you, they know they can't beat you. And that's exactly the occurrence every single time. So this is how toxic the water is. And on top of that, when you deal with water, first off, as I said, if you can't have it in your mouth or if it can't get in your eyes, it should not be on your fucking body. We all know that. So this is how toxic the water is. And then on top of that, they're making people pay their water bills. You heard the sister in the beginning. They're making you pay $100 water bill. And this is the same thing happened in Flint, Michigan. They're making you pay $100 plus water bills for water that you can't even access. Not even that. It's water that will fucking kill you. And they're still making you pay for the shit. That is the economic side, as we broke down the 4 E's: environmental, economic, education, and enforcement. You see that as well. So you see how they use the environmental racism when it came to floods and busted pipes. Then they use the economic racism that has you paying water bills that you can't even use the water for. And then they use the education racism, which are these fake ass news articles telling you how we as people are all suffering from this as Americans. And then they enforced it at the very highest levels of Mississippi, all the way up to the governor's office, all the way down to the city councilman, because they're all towing the same line. And that line is anti-black racism. That's what it all is. You can never separate the two. Anybody trying to separate the two is a damn lie. I had somebody on Twitter trying to tell me, well, everybody gets flooded now. Yeah, but not everybody has water crisis. Water crisis seem to be very anti-black, okay? It's either two things. Either this is anti-black racism done by human beings, or water is now officially anti-black. So you mean to tell me water is anti-black? So the water is targeting us. It's not the people. It's not the government. It's not the fucking Democrats, the Republicans, the liberals, conservatives. Ain't none of that. Now, water is anti-black. That's what they trying to fucking tell us, basically, okay? So they can take that bullshit and they can shove it, because we all know goddamn well it's about environmental racism, and this is how they perpetuate it. And any motherfucker making an excuse for it, they already know what time it is. That's G-check season. And on top of that, Mississippi received $1.1 billion of federal money to fix its infrastructure, okay? And that includes Jackson, Mississippi's water pipes. But instead, they use that money to pay Brett Favre, a football player, for speeches that he never gave. Motherfucker never even gave the shit. While they running around here talking about student debt loan and all this other shit that they talking about, there was $1.1 billion allocated to Jackson, Mississippi so they could fix the water pipes. And what ended up happening, it went to non-FBAs for everything except for water. Now, you can't tell me that right there wasn't purposely done. I mean, once again, the money for black folks goes to someone else. So we have examples of money that belongs to us going to people of color. We have examples of money that belongs to us going to the Ukrainians. We have an example of money for us going to an ex-washed up ass football player to give speeches that the motherfucker ain't never even gave. And Brett Favre, y'all know who he is, he could barely fucking talk any goddamn way. So the speeches wouldn't have been no good. And this is exactly what the fuck happened. All of these things go on purpose. All of these things are orchestrated. And if you see, that's exactly what happened in Flint, Michigan. They run the same con game. I'm telling you, they run this shit over and over and over. In Flint, Michigan, they said, oh, we switched water pipes from this type of water to that type of water. And guess what happened? The bad water went around the W, it went around the person of color, and it came straight to black folks. They know how to direct, and they know how to redirect all of their savagery towards foundational black American freedmen. It's called targeting. These water crises don't just seem to always pop up where we are in a coincidence. It's some strange occurrence at some event. Why you see all of these common denominators is because they're all being done by the common culprit. Oh, and I'm not fronting. Like the Ukraine literally got what, $10 billion? I think they're about to get another $50 billion. All on the books. All on the books. Black folks is out here getting water that looks like oil. I mean, it looks like running fucking oil. This is what's happening. And you mean to tell me this is all good? Hell no, it ain't all good. Hell no, it ain't all good. You know what anti-black racism look like? Anti-black racism looks like a clear bottle of water that goes to the dominant society, and then water that looks like sludge coming to foundational black American freedmen. That right there is what you call anti-black racism. And we're going to keep on speaking about that shit, and we're going to keep on calling it out. And then years later, if you ever want to see how things turn, look what happened to Hurricane Katrina. Go back and revisit Hurricane Katrina. Same situations. Go back and visit Flint, Michigan. Flint still doesn't have clean water. Oh no, they don't.
Each and every day, people who live in Flint, Michigan question the water supply.
We need to know beyond a shadow of a doubt that this water is safe. Okay.
Deborah Kelly says all that's happened makes it hard to trust that the water is safe. It all started in 2014 when city officials switched the water source to save money.
I don't trust them. I don't drink this water. I don't brush my teeth with this water. Okay?
Here at work or at home?
Here at work or at home.
She works as a caregiver for widow Betty Hayes, who's lived
here at work or at home.
She She works as a caregiver for widow Betty Hayes, who's lived almost 9 decades but says she's never been through anything quite as shocking as the Flint water crisis.
Never dreamed that I'd be in this position.
6 years after the Flint water crisis began, crews are still replacing the lead pipes that made so many residents sick, and people are still relying on bottled water.
As if we needed reminding, even after 10 years, how terrible Katrina really was, and what a colossal fiasco.
We are gonna die out here if they do not see somebody out here right now.
The horror show at the Superdome. Close to 25,000 people were trapped there for days in the heat and stink.
We need to feed our babies. We need to give our babies some water.
Somebody rescue us.
Thousands more baked on overpasses along the interstate.
This man jumped to his death because he just couldn't take it no more.
More than 1,800 people died across the Gulf Coast. How could this be happening in the United States of America?
Oh no, don't get it twisted, tangled, fucked up. No, it doesn't go from like a situation that we hear about and then it goes away. Like once it's off the news, doesn't mean the problem went away. That just means the news quit talking about it. The news would prefer not to talk about the shit in the first place. We force some motherfuckers to talk about it by the way we push the line. But once the stories leave the news, it's still affecting millions of people. It's still affected. If you look right now in Flint, Michigan, those people still do not have clean water. Now, y'all remember when Barack Obama went on TV and he drank the fucking water? I mean, he took a sip. And he was like, the water's good now. Y'all go drink it. Yeah, that fucking con guy.
It is. There you go. You know, generally I have not been doing stunts here, but, you know. And this used a filter. You know, the water around this table, was Flint water that was filtered. And it just confirms what we know scientifically, which is that if you're using a filter, if you're installing it, then Flint water at this point.
He went on TV, took a sip of the water in Flint, Michigan, and basically with his actions and with his little scam he was playing, he was basically saying FBA, because that's who he was talking to, because Flint, Michigan is majority black. He said, FBA, y'all go ahead and drink this damn water that he knew goddamn well would poison them. And he didn't give a fuck. Same way he didn't do nothing for black folks. Same way he conned black folks. It was the same way he was conning them when they were sitting there drinking that water. Now, this is the vote blue no matter who era. This is the yes we can era. So motherfuckers back then was like, oh, Obama says it was good. I'm going to go drinks it. And I ain't going to say what happened to the motherfuckers who drank it. Let's just say that shit didn't turn out too well. All right? Now motherfuckers ain't going for that shit, and I don't give a fuck who you send. You can send Barack Obama, Michelle Obama, James Clyburn, Kamala Harris. You can send Al Sharpton. You can send Al Sharpton's fucking wig. Ain't no brothers and sisters touching that shit. But after the case happened, you started to see all of the effects that it had. You start to see that people are still living in this mess. You got to see that the same situation when it started affected people, and the same situation is still going on and affecting more people. The Flint, Michigan water crisis affected people that weren't even born when it started. I'm gonna say that one more time for your motherfucking mind. The Flint, Michigan water crisis affected people that weren't even born when it happened, the same way this Jackson, Mississippi situation is going to affect babies that aren't even born yet. It's the same exact way that Hurricane Katrina did, because when you're dealing with water, it ain't a game. When you're dealing with toxins, it ain't a game. And when you're dealing with environmental racism, the shit is real. And the new black media has been on it since day one. The new black media will stay on it. And we're going to make sure our brothers and sisters are straight. See what I'm talking about? So when the dust settles and the smoke clears, these people are still affected by it. Don't let just because that shit ain't on the news. Don't let just because motherfuckers went back to playing make you forget about what's going on. That's why we gotta always stay focused and we gotta always maintain our presence. That goes back to the pull-up season that we are living in. You got to stay there. Not just pull up and go, not pull up and drive by. No, you pull up, you stay there, you affect change. And when all the cameras is gone, when all the news anchors go home, when the world moves on to the next story, you gotta always remember what's happening and you gotta always put in that work. It's a full-time grind, but we do this shit with ease. Now, when you go back to Hurricane Katrina, Look at all the things they did. Regentrification was the main thing. That is the biggest aspect of environmental racism. They will move out a whole black community and move in everybody else. They've been doing that since the beginning of this country. Look at all these towns that were created by foundational black Americans. Well, they'll just come in and build a whole fucking highway straight through it. Y'all know what I'm talking about. They'll build a whole highway right in the middle of your housing complex, and then black folks will be gone, and the next thing you know, everybody else pulls in. And like I said, natural disasters are the best friends of an environmental racist. Oh yeah, because now they got something they can point to. Now they got an excuse and an alibi for some shit they wanted to do anyway. See, they only build those highways, they only knock down your homes and your projects when they don't have a hurricane or a flood to blame it on. They would prefer to have the hurricane or the flood. They don't give a fuck. These people are slums, straight up and down. Trust and believe, when they see a hurricane is coming or they see a flood, they got their fingers crossed. They got their fingers crossed and they sitting there jumping up and down because they already got the plan of what they gonna do. They already got the plan. They're gonna come in, they're gonna raise your rates, they're gonna knock down everything, jack up the fucking prices. They ain't just coming for your complex or your home. No. They coming for your whole fucking side of town. Go to Louisiana. All my people down in Louisiana. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Right after Hurricane Katrina, they did the same exact thing. They was giving black folks to run around. They was railroading folks, all laid out, all planned, and all strategized. Guarantee you that shit. And even look at it now. For all the people who say, well, everybody gets flooded. Yeah, that's true. There's floods everywhere. But you notice that the floods followed by the water crisis only happen to foundational black American populated areas. Yeah, they'll have a flood on that side of town, but they'll just clean the shit up and the water's still good to drink. Whenever there's a flood on our side of town, it affects the water, it affects the food, it affects every element of life. Get the fuck out of here. This is what you're talking about, and this is what you see all the time on a day-to-day basis. And that's that aspect of it. Another form of environmental racism, as we speak about regentrification, is the way they bring in land developers. They'll bring in land developers and they'll move motherfuckers out of their church. You've been at a church for 60 fucking years. They'll bring in the land developer and say, hey, all this shit is ours. You need to get this church the fuck up out of here. And by the way, that school, get that the fuck up out of there. We're going to come in and build a charter school or private school that black folks who are in this area cannot afford. We're going to fly in, reel in, roll in, walk in, bus in, W's from the other side of town, and that's their school now. And by the way, that little housing complex that you live in, we're going to get rid of that and we're going to put in some shit that you could never afford. And that's their house now. And that's how the fuck they do it. Watch out. Y'all know what it is. When you start seeing them Starbucks popping up down the street, you start seeing them little fucking Gold's gyms and all that shit, and it starts popping up every goddamn where, and you start seeing those little real estate signs popping up in areas where they never were before. You know what it is. I was with my brother one time in Ohio, and we was driving down the street. As a matter of fact, I was up visiting, and he takes me down the block going through the same neighborhood in which we were when we were younger. And he says, that's being regentrified, that's being regentrified, and that's being regentrified. And mind you, this is before it happened. This ain't after the fact. This ain't when everybody could see it. My brother's thorough, so he was looking at all that and he was seeing the signs. He's seen the Starbucks, he's seen the little real estate things, he's seen all the little plays that they was making, how they were trying to up things, but at the same time keep the locals away, because that's what they do. They'll put in little items in little areas where everyone who's not even from there can afford, but the people right next to it cannot afford. That is a telltale sign that the W's are coming. That is a telltale sign. Then you start seeing roads and bridges. Now, mind you, when black folks live there, they have the worst conditions. The houses need to be restructured. The roads need to be restructured. They'll literally have cracks in the fucking road. I've literally seen in Cleveland, Ohio, water hydrants busted open in the middle of winter, spraying, and they don't even come do shit about it. It's creating fucking ice going down the street like it's the goddamn mountains, like it's Aspen. You can go skiing on this shit. And they don't give a fuck. Everyone knows it. They abandoned buildings and everything. So all of a sudden, when they start tearing down those abandoned buildings, when they start fixing those water hydrants, when the roads go from all the cracks in it to new pavement, y'all know what that means, regentrification. So as my brother took me around and we was driving and he was pointing out things, I came back up there 2 years later and none of the locals lived there anymore. All the people who had been there since the 1960s were gone, and everybody you seen there was from the dominant society. Or they were Tethers who came here from somewhere else and were eating off the land that foundational black Americans created, and they were taking that money and sending it back to their homeland. That's what y'all know what I'm talking about. Y'all know the motherfuckers who come over here, set up their little gas stations and all these little items, and then take that stuff and send it back home. This is who was occupying the place that was once occupied by foundational Black Americans for a century. That is environmental racism. All my people in Atlanta know what I'm talking about. All my people in Louisiana know what I'm talking about. New York definitely knows what I'm talking about. Harlem, definitely. You can go up to Ohio, you can go all across this country. You see the same thing happening from each region to each region. So do not tell me that it's all just being done by some big old coincidence. Fuck nah. It's a play, and it's a play that we see because we call it out. We see how it is, we know how they operate, and plus we know what's in their mind. We know what they thinking. Once you know what the motherfuckers thinking, you can game them before they try to game you. That's why you gotta always be a step ahead, and you always gotta make your next move your best move. We talk about how we play chess, not checkers. If you playing checkers, then they gonna run your ass right out of Dodge. If you playing chess, then you're gonna be able to checkmate these motherfuckers when they show up, and we screaming checkmate constantly. That's the only way to do it. So we're talking about billions of dollars that's going to volleyball teams, football players. We're talking about lead in water. We're talking about toxins, all different forms in your water. We're talking about you can't bathe, you can't brush your teeth, you can't get it in your eyes. We're talking about no water in town. You got to drive way the fuck out of town to get it. People being stuck in hotels, and nobody else ever seems to have these problems other than foundational Black American freedmen. And it's always the National Guard is 2 fucking weeks late. It's always wait. You ever notice that? It's always, well, wait a little longer. Hold on. They tell Black folks in the middle of a crisis how to be nice. It's the same thing they do out here in the streets. That's that enforcement we talk about. They tell you how to be nice to the race soldier, how to forgive the race soldier. They do the same thing politically. They do the same thing with these water crises. I know you guys don't have water, and it takes water for everyone to live. I know you guys have no food, and it takes food for everyone to live, but just wait another 2 weeks. They telling Black folks to wait for some shit that the human body physically can't wait for. You know what I'm saying? Forgiving, turning the other cheek, all that shit is what you choose to do. You can't choose to live without water. You can't choose to live without food. And this is the game they still run on Black folks. They still want motherfuckers to forgive. They still want you to say it's okay when you ain't got no it's okay in you. Either you get it or you don't. And if you don't, you do not live. And they still say, my bad, dog. That's basically what the politicians are saying. How the fuck can you sit back in the middle of a water crisis when you don't have an essential and see politicians still playing left and right, still playing red and blue, still playing Democrat and Republican? You got a bunch of these coons out here right now saying, man, it's the Republicans' fault. They playing that vote blue no matter who shit in the middle of a water crisis. This should be a natural disaster. This should be funded. The president could be getting out that pen and writing all types of executive orders like he does for every other group, like he's done since day one. He wrote all those executive orders on day one. Black folks right now in Jackson, Mississippi can't get any. All the funds, the money should be allocated. Joe Biden right now is basically saying, oh, sorry, hey, let the local government handle it. I'm busy focused on Ukraine right now. I'm busy focused on staying awake, because you know the motherfucker can't stay awake for 5 minutes at a time, okay? They said they was going to hold Joe Biden accountable. Well, I guess they got to hold him accountable after his nap, all right? Because, you know, he's on senior citizen time, and he's up in the fucking nursing home. You feel me? So he's basically saying, hey, that's y'all problem. Matter of fact, he ain't even saying that. The motherfucker ain't even addressed it. Now, he flew in a pop group from another communities so he could discuss crimes against them, even though he had already wrote a couple executive orders. Okay, so that's executive orders, meetings with pop groups, all that. He gave $400,000 in an executive order to the people separated at the border. He flew planes over to get people from Afghanistan, told them welcome home. He cussed at reporters about them. But when it comes to foundational Black Americans facing a water crisis, he ain't said a motherfucking thing other than, hey, I ain't got nothing to do with it. He basically said, I'm been in and I ain't in it. He said, I'm Biden and I ain't trying. Oh yeah, they asked him. He said, I ain't going down there. Straight up, you can look at it. The footage is out there. They was asking him straight up, clear as day, what are you going to do? And he said, I can't do nothing. The governor needs to act. See, they don't mind saying the Republicans did it. If saying the Republicans did it and Black folks suffer in the process, that's cool. Remember, the Democrats love to see Black folks suffer because they can blame it on the Republican, and then election season, they can say, see how those Republicans hurt y'all? See how those Republicans didn't give y'all any water? Come vote for us. Oh yeah, I say it all the time. Democrats love Black folks suffering because they could always blame Black folks suffering on the Republican Party, and when it comes to election season, they could put that shit all on the campaign sticker. Oh yeah, they sit here and they celebrate black folks who get harmed by race soldiers. They loved it when Breonna Taylor was harmed because they used that as a campaign slogan. They love George Floyd getting harmed because they use that as a campaign slogan. They love when Ahmaud Arbery was harmed because they use that as a campaign slogan, and they will use Jackson, Mississippi as a campaign slogan so they can get votes. So the Democrats just sit back, let black folks have toxins in their water, and they say, good, go ahead and let them suffer because come election season, we'll make that a nice little campaign ad. That's what it is. So Joe Biden basically saying, go ahead, have toxin in your water. It's not my problem. The governor needs to act. Now, he didn't say the guy from Ukraine needs to act. He doesn't say that all those presidents in South America need to act when all those migrants come up here illegally. He never blames the local officials for acting when it comes to foreigners. But when it comes to Jackson, Mississippi, he says, I ain't doing nothing about it. Not my problem. That's a local issue. He doesn't say it's a local issue when it comes to illegal immigration. He doesn't say it's a local issue when it comes to giving billions of dollars to the Ukraine. Only when it comes to foundational black Americans suffering from having toxins in their water and having water warfare and having environmental racism does he say the federal government's not doing anything. Let's rely on the local government. Because when it comes to campaign time, they'll blame that local government so they can get federal votes for the Democratic Party. It all one big circle, ladies and gentlemen, and we always identify it, we always recognize it, and we always break that shit down. Can't play with us. We too real, too solid, too goddamn thorough. And you got folks still out here talking about the Republicans did it. I'm telling y'all, these vote blue no matter who folks, they gonna be vote blue no matter who. During water crisis, during homeless crisis, during mass assaults, it's gonna always be that way. Speaking of homeless, let's go back. Y'all remember when Maxine Waters told all those homeless people in California to go home? And then she smiled about the shit? That right there is environmental racism. The very fact that black Americans represent 65 to 70% of the homeless in this country, but nowhere near represent that population. What you call that? What you call that? That right there is environmental racism. So right now you see the whole spectrum as we broke it down on the Black Alpha Network, just as I said we would, as always, thorough. You see what I'm talking about when you speak of environmental racism. It affects where you live, where you go to school. It affects people in prison. People have been railroaded into the prison system. It affects the water that you drink. Every single element is affected by it. And the dominant society has a complete playbook and a complete strategy. That's why you see the same exact play, no matter whether that's in Flint, Michigan, no matter whether that's in Mississippi. And mind you, and I send respect to all the other places that this has occurred, because I know the same thing has happened in California. The same thing has happened as well on the East Coast. And it's our job, family, to make sure that all eyes stay focused on foundational black American freemen, because we are all we got and we are the culture. Therefore, we lift each other up. We've been doing that and nothing has changed. We got to stay focused on it, because every single day, every single hour, every single second, we put out foundational black American excellence. And there's no better way of showing that than holding your brother and your sister down. And we do that 24/7. Now, let me address another thing that, it's been going over a bunch of people's heads, but you know how we do. We break it down thorough so motherfucker can't say they didn't understand. You gonna know for sure and for certain when we done putting it down. And we put it down the best way. But when you talk about regentrification and you talk about people trying to genderify things that foundational black Americans have created and innovated, it doesn't just stop with the environment. When we talk about hip hop, we've been talking about hip hop for a long time right now. And all these other people trying to come in and say that they created hip hop. That is the same mentality that they do when they try to take our communities from us. Everybody wants everything from foundational black Americans because they cannot do what foundational black Americans do. Understand that, believe that, know that. So when we see people try to come in and take hip hop over, ain't that regentrification? When you see all these little W's, these Harlows and Iggy Azalea and all these bum ass rappers, all those people are trying to do is do the same exact thing that they do to foundational black Americans when it comes to housing. When they come in and they just try to take over our whole neighborhood, that's the same thing they do when they try to come and take our whole culture. Because when you can take somebody's neighborhood, you can take their culture. When you can take their culture, you can take their neighborhood. This is why we resist, and that's why we run motherfuckers off the block. But it's all connected. It's all connected. That same attitude and that same ideology where motherfucker feels it's okay to take what's yours, this is what you get when you start dealing with regentrification. When you got actors who fly all the way over here and they're getting roles before foundational black Americans are getting these roles, that is somebody trying to regentrify our art forms. They do it in every single aspect, in every single category of foundational black American life. And speaking of that, I got to address something. Did y'all hear that Demetrius Elba, whatever the fuck his name is? Did y'all see him talking about, I was over here, my great granddaddy was in the UK, and then he flew over to Kansas City and fought in the war. And basically he was trying to say, I'm not taking anybody's roles because I'm a foundational black American too.
We open the conversations. And so for that reason, I'm sitting here and say, great, talk about me all day long, because it opens the blinkers that we all have.
Have you followed this story, and I want to ask you about this, with actors who are black and the whole idea of English black actors taking American roles? I was in a bar, I was at Chiltern, having a drink, and next to me, the actor who's playing Whitney Houston. She's English. I said, I hope you know, black women in America are going to be like, English woman you're playing one of the most iconic African-American women ever. And it's a thing. What do you feel about that?
Even the way you framed it up, taking American roles, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy that
it's crazy that it's
but you know what I noticed? You said a black woman in America versus an English woman. Like, being English makes you less black.
Exactly. That's the issue.
Like,
that's the issue.
To me, that defines how unintelligent the whole argument is. No disrespect to anyone that has that feelings. It is what it is. But the fact is, we're all black. Like, our system. And it's annoying to me, really annoying. My grandfather fought the Second World War for this country, US.
First off, don't buy it. Bullshit. And second off, motherfucker, you ain't coming over here playing it the real way. You ain't coming over here representing. You're not coming over here holding it down. You coming over here doing what everybody else does when they come here. And that's try to see what foundational black Americans are doing. Try to duplicate it, imitate it. And once you feel like you cannot achieve that, then you try to steal it. And that's exactly what's happening with all these other people. We got to remember this, family. The dominant society loves Tethers because Tethers are very friendly to the dominant society. Foundational black Americans, we are, once again, the only group on the planet that has ever stood up to supremacy. We the only ones. Everybody else tries to act like they was doing it. We fought back. No, you didn't. 2 of y'all fought for 2 days and then you quit. All right, foundational black Americans, we're the only lineage that has consistency. We're the only lineage that has passed down a warrior class, has passed down revolutionaries, have passed down activists, grassroots. Y'all ain't got none. Where they at? Where they at in the UK, Elba? Since you so foundational black American affiliated, where they at? It's funny because when he started talking about his relatives, he didn't talk about none of his relatives from the UK. He had to talk about one of his relatives, allegedly, that's from America. You see what I'm talking about? He's trying to slide in. That's why they like to flash their blackness. Blackness for a Tether is like a little get out of jail free card. It's like a little fucking badge of honor where they can just flash it and get away with shit. But we don't let them do that. Back in the old days, they be like, bling, I'm black like you. Look at me, my grandfather was in World War II. I'm black like y'all from Kansas City. No, you not. No, you not. No, he's not, because he didn't even fucking exist. Okay, he was probably a Tether from back in the day. Okay, that's what it is. He's pointing to a Tether from back in the day. You notice how he never said that his grandfather was an actual foundational black American. His grandfather was probably an immigrant who came here doing the same thing that he's doing now. He was a World War II Tether. They made him back then. Don't get it twisted. Tethers ain't new. We just got a name for them now. They were trying to latch on to our ancestors the same way they trying to latch on to us, and our ancestors was regulating their ass the same way we are now. You see how he left that out, right? You see how he didn't actually go in and say, my grandfather was from here, from the foundation. He left the term foundation out. See, this is what I'm talking about. If you ain't got a trained eye, that shit went right past you. He just said his grandfather fought in World War II. Okay. And that doesn't mean he's a foundational black American. Hell no, again. It's a more than that. It's a more. This is what motherfuckers gonna have to understand. To be a foundational black American, to stand next to us and try to represent what we represent, oh, you got to have your weight up. You got to be holding it down. You done had to been through what we been through. Had to walk down the path that we walked. You had to boss up like we boss up. You can't just come here and say, I'm black. That don't mean shit. You can't just come over here and say, I'm melanated. That don't mean shit. You can't come over here and say, my grandfather fought in World War II. And we foundational black Americans, we done fought in everything and at the same time built this motherfucker. What you talking about? You better show some respect. Put some whole fucking respect on it. Elba. Whatever the fuck your name is. So no, that's the game that they're on, and he's doing the same thing that they're trying to do in the social world. They're trying to come over here and hijack our legends. And another thing that I caught, I think he said, or one of them little busters on the show, they said something about people playing Whitney Houston, and they said, oh, it's a character. Whitney Houston ain't no motherfucking character. Whitney Houston is a foundational black American legend. You will respect a foundational black American queen. Don't ever in your life say Whitney Houston is a character. So all of our heroes and our legends that they come over here and steal these roles from, when you have qualified foundational black American actors and actresses that could play this to the core because they relate to the lineage and to the heritage and the culture, you could easily go get an FBA, but you go get a Tether. And these Tethers come over here and they call our legends characters? That's exactly why they shouldn't ever play no fucking role. So when we sit here and we call these people out for trying to represent foundational black American culture on screen, but they not foundational black American in their heart or in their mind, and people say, y'all just being means, we all blacks. No, the fuck we ain't all black, because if we was all black, you would never refer to any of our heroes as a character. That's what they see him as, family. That's what they see him as, because they cannot relate, because they are not interconnected. If you were interconnected, you would never say no shit like that. So when they talk, they prove to us why they need to step the fuck out our building. They prove to us why they're Tethers. Imagine us going somewhere and telling another group of people that one of their legends is a character. They would never go for that shit. Never. But yet you come over here and you eat off of our plate, and then you don't even have the respect to say it. You know what he should have said? What a respectable person would have said? They would have said, yes, I'm not foundational black American. I'm trying to learn more. I'm receptive to it. This is easy. This is easy. They never take the easy road. They never take the easy road. This is how arrogant, how selfish these motherfuckers are. You could have easily came over here and said, hey, I try to learn as much about foundational black American history as I can so I can relate to these roles that I play, so I can display it on screen a little bit better and be a better actor and represent that hero, represent that legend, represent that foundational black American brother or sister to the fullest of their memory. Nah, they don't say that. Nah, They come over here and say, why y'all mad? Shit, we all black. I'm not over here. My grandfather World War II. Whitney Houston is just a character. Harriet Tubman just a character. Fred Hampton is just a character. You see why we call these motherfuckers out? You see why we snatch their tether wig off their motherfucking head? That's exactly why right there. Because they don't deserve to come over here in foundational black America and misrepresent us, because they can't come to foundational black Americans and respect us. So if you can't respect us, you can't represent us, and that is that, because we FBA and we said so. So fuck dude and anybody else who thinks like him. That's a regentrification of our culture. Same thing they're trying to do with hip hop. Same thing they're trying to do with movies. Same thing across the board. And we watching them. We got our eyes on them. And every corner they turn, we gonna be right there. Every time they try to slide some new shit in, some new trick, con, whatever the fuck they come up with, we'll be right there ready for it. We always have been. We always will be. Foundational black Americans, one thing we are experts at regulating motherfuckers, because we got so many people to regulate. Just look at this year alone. This year alone, we've regulated everybody. Everybody. It started off with Group A beefing with us. Then it started with Group B beefing with us. And then C, then D, and all the way down the fucking alphabet. And notice I said they're beefing with us, because we don't have no problems with none of these people. Remember, we in the front of the line. When you in the front of the line, you're not looking way the fuck back to see what Demetrius Elba or whatever the hell his name is. I promise you I don't know what the fuck his name is. Can't pronounce it. Ain't gonna try to get it right. Fuck him. He don't show respect to foundational black Americans, so I ain't taking the time to show respect to his name. Fuck his name. You can call him whatever the hell you want. Okay? He's Tether Elba. How about that? So Tether Elba can say whatever the fuck he want to say, and we ain't showing him no respect because he's way the fuck back there. Remember, foundational black Americans don't go over to their homelands trying to learn and steal from them. They coming over here trying to steal from us. The proof's in the pudding. The facts are the facts. The mathematics are laid out. When somebody's trying to eat off of your plate, that means you are the winner. When you got to eat off of somebody else's plate, that means you are the loser. Case in point, right there, everything we just laid out. These motherfuckers is trying to come over here and get what we got. They're trying to come over here and steal what we have. They're trying to come over here and take every single thing that we've worked for and we've grinded for, and that shit ain't never gonna happen. So they can keep on reaching, but their hands do not go that high. Not at all. Let me roll to the next motherfucker who gotta get G-checked. DJ Vulture Vlad. Let's talk about Vlad, because Vlad had a couple things to say about our brother Tariq Nasheed, and he said a lot of little slick shit about FBA culture. So Vlad gonna have to get regulated. I regulated Vlad a long time ago. Y'all check out my video, Vulture Vlad. Got him a long time ago, but hey, we don't stop. We can keep on pushing that motherfucking line. Vlad is another person who wants to come over here and gentrify foundational Black American culture. And you usually see this with Tethers, okay? And Tethers come in all different colors. If y'all seen the meme I put up right here on my community tab, shout out to everybody who likes those pictures, man, and likes some of those posts. I keep them coming, keep it fresh every day. And everybody who's seen that scene, I said Tethers and culture vultures come in all different colors, because they do. Watch out. You're going to see a lot of culture vultures coming from different backgrounds, different continents, states, avenues, whatever the fuck. Because when you put foundational Black American culture front and center, step back and watch all the motherfucking hawks start swinging in and flying in. And that's exactly what Vlad is. Vlad is from wherever the hell he's from, okay? And that Tether Elba, he's from wherever the fuck he's from. They're two different people, look completely different, but the one thing they have in common is that they both try to mimic foundational Black American culture. Look at that. Look at Vlad and look at Tether Elba. Listen to him talk, watch him, and the only thing the motherfucking two guys have in common is that they both try to steal from foundational Black Americans. This is how wide of a range our culture has, and this is how much power we have. The fact that two people from two different backgrounds, literally from two different sides of the globe, have nothing in common, don't even act alike, don't talk alike, don't walk alike, but when it comes to foundational Black Americans, all of a sudden they Bopsy twins. You feel me? That's what the fuck they are. DJ Vlad is the same way. DJ Vlad's one of these suckers who comes around foundational Black American culture. He wants to do what I call safari. He wants to get right on the front line of our culture, but he don't really want to participate in it. They watch it from afar because they're amazed by it. He's amazed how we're so excellent, unlike himself. He's amazed how we're so creative, unlike himself. He's amazed how we're so much of builders, unlike himself. Because remember, he came here, as they all come here, as failures. The F in Flear stands for failure. And Vlad is no different than any other failure. They come running over here after they couldn't get it popping where they were at. They couldn't get it moving in their homeland. They couldn't get it jumping in town. So they jump on the plane, jump on a boat, or jump in a fucking river, swim, swam, flew, or fly over to this motherfucker. And then they start trying to eat off the backs of foundational Black Americans. It's the same script we always see. It's the same script we G-check. So Vlad comes around here and he runs his mouth. Now I'm gonna say this. A lot of people don't know. Rick Ross and his people, they put hands on Vlad. Oh yeah, he know what time it is. That's why he get to the edge now. He used to try to push that shit a little further. He used to all the time. So when he says little slick shit like that, Vlad knows how to say that shit and run. Vlad knows how to say that shit and hide. Because back in the day, he used to try to say that shit and stand there, and let's just say some of them brothers got with him. You feel me? So that's the way the game goes, and we all understand that, and we all recognize it. Vlad is a failure, just like everyone else is a failure. Foundational Black American culture belongs to us, and it's too heavy for them to even understand it. You feel me? It's too heavy. They couldn't pick it up. It's like picking up 200 pounds of real shit. You can't bench that. As DMX say, don't touch that. Leave it alone. Foundational Black American culture is just too thorough for these motherfuckers to even put that jacket on. That's why it never looks right. It never looks good on the tether. Everything we do is sharp and clean. They look way off because they can't fit that jacket. They can't wear that FBA jacket. I'm telling you, they cannot do it. When Vlad start talking, don't no real one take him serious. He got to go talk to goddamn teenage rappers and shit like that. He'll sit there and say how he can't interview basically pro-black folks, but then he'll bring a motherfucker on his show who's literally a career criminal, a career supremacist, and he'll ask him all types of questions. But you know he can't ever run that game on no real ones. That's why he got a problem with our brother Tariq Nasheed. It's the same way he got a problem with motherfuckers like Mac 10 and real OGs. He can't handle them because they don't go for his game. They understand what a vulture look like. They understand what a tether look like, and they understand what a hoe look like. And Vlad sees it every time he looks in the mirror. Fuck, dude. Hey, tell him Rick Ross called. He want to talk to him again. Shit. So yeah, we don't make it easy on anybody who's coming at us sideways. I don't care who you are, where you from, what you talking about. If you not FBA, you're gonna have to pay up and get your weight up. You're gonna have to respect it because we know you can't check it, and you're gonna give that shit up or you're gonna get it took. And we're gonna do it all certified style. Yes, indeed. Because it's pull up, push up, roll up, however, whenever, anybody out there who violates, we're gonna demonstrate, because you got to protect foundational Black American culture at all costs. And the way you do that is by taking ownership, and we taking ownership of it. Motherfuckers used to run around with our culture in their back pocket. You feel me? They used to run around here. That's why they get so offended when we G-check them. How you gonna get offended for me G-checking you about something that belongs to my lineage? The way they talk, you would think that it's their lineage. They go more hard for stealing our lineage than they go for their own. That's the problem. That's the real shit, family. Hey, let's go there right now. Certified salute. These motherfuckers got more passion and more energy for stealing our shit than they do for representing their own shit. You don't hear them go that hard for their own homelands, but you start talking about hip hop. You start talking about FBA movies. You start talking about FBA culture. Then all of a sudden they find the energy and the passion. They'll get real defensive and shit. How come you didn't get so defensive about that land you fled from? Where's all that energy from that land that you ran from? Where's all of that passion when you start talking about the land that you was birthed at? Where the fuck is that then? Oh, it only exists when we tell your ass no. Ain't that a shame? Boy, that's cold. They don't ever have that much passion, energy, or effort when they start talking about the place that they came from. Never. But you tell them for 1 second that foundational Black American culture belongs to foundational Black Americans, then all of a sudden they start flipping out. Then all of a sudden they catch an attitude. You need to catch a fucking attitude at the conditions of where you came from, because then you wouldn't be over here getting G-checked by me. I'm gonna say that one more time for the family. They better find more energy and effort correcting where they came from, because then they wouldn't have to come over here and get their asses corrected by me. And we correct them every single day. This is Tether G-check season. I love it. I love it. I love seeing foundational Black Americans take ownership over what's ours. Because for so long, everything that belonged to us, everyone else was running around here acting like it's theirs, like they done put their name on the shit. I told you, a Freeman and a Flear have completely different mentalities. We build, they steal. And nothing is more indicative of that right there than what I just alluded to. They get more mad about foundational Black American culture belonging to us than they do about the ruins and the slums that they come from. That's a motherfucking shame, and that further proves our point of why they asses are Fleers. So when they get mad and be like, y'all called us Fleers, I said, well, you did flee, didn't you? Then they get mad and say, y'all called us fleas. Well, you fled, didn't you? You was a Fleer who fled on Friday with fleas. And I'm an FBA certified. Checkmate. They know what time it is, man. Hey, we keep it thorough up in here. We keep it real thorough. This is a no bullshit zone. This is a coon tether repellent. We run them motherfuckers clean out of Dodge. You can't stand next to us. Not at all. And that's the difference. When you take pride on what you've got and what you've accomplished and who you are as a person, as an individual, you completely change the game and you change the whole spectrum. That's the difference between us and them. You see how we just framed it, right? Look at us. We're over here right now, circling our wagons, cleaning house, and taking ownership over everything that our ancestors have put forth for us. They're not doing that. Do they even talk about their ancestors? That's the thing. That's what I'm saying. We sit here and we talk about our ancestors in every aspect. We literally go back to 500 years ago. We start talking about genealogy, our DNA, our genetic makeup, our genetic memory, our ancestral spirituality. We talk about all that. Have you ever heard any of them say that? They don't even mention their ancestors from 5 years ago. And when we talk about it, we show love to all of our ancestors. We'll start with the slaves. We'll start talking about Reconstruction, the Black folks who built their own communities. We'll start talking about our music legends, our movie legends. We'll start talking about our grandparents, our aunts and our uncles, people on the plantation. We talk about it all. They don't talk about none of that. These motherfuckers got more pride in stealing from FBA than they have for the place that they came from. We don't respect that shit. Hell no. We don't respect that shit. Can't no FBA freeman ever respect somebody who runs from their own culture when we spent this whole time building our culture. That's the fact. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no motherfucking way we could ever sit down and really understand that. You and your grandmother, my grandmother, could sit down and they could communicate. You could play a motherfucking Kool in the Gang song right now, and black folks is gonna dance the same way. You could throw on some goddamn Teddy Pendergrass. You could throw on some fucking Luther Vandross. You could throw on some Patti LaBelle, some Gladys Knight. We gonna rock. That's what we gonna do right here. They ain't gonna do none of that shit because they ain't got no motherfucking pride in anything that they've ever done. See, on the inside of a Flear, you have a real defeated person. That's why I say the F stands for failure. They're very defeated. I mean, who walks around here and wants to cling and attach and tether to someone else's culture, but is hush, quiet, and says zero about their own culture? Who tries to run to someone else's homeland that someone else built, that someone else innovated, and you never ever mention the homeland that you came from? Hell, you come over here and you start talking our lingo and using our slang. Look at Vulture Vlad. Vulture Vlad's over here trying to use hip-hop terminologies and yo-yo-yos and shit. He don't talk like the people from his homeland because he's a failure. That's exactly what they do. They fail. All a failure does is fall, flee, and fail. Okay? And then they get back up and they fall, flee, and fail the fucking again. That's all the fuck they do. And all freemen do is we get busy and we put in work. That's it. That's the big difference between us and them, and that will always be the difference between us and them. And that's why I love Foundational Black America. That's why I love all of you. I love all my certifieds. I love all my freemen. I love all my B1s. I represent y'all to the fullest. Y'all know everything we do right here on the Black AlphaCast is centered in our excellence. It's centered in our positivity, and it's centered in just us getting by and being what we are, and that's the best. Ain't second, ain't third, ain't fourth, fifth, none of that shit. We don't even know what that feel like. FBA, we are number ones. We control the yard. We run things. Motherfuckers already know what it is. They know what time it is. They ain't got to look at their watch. They ain't got to look at the motherfucking clock. They ain't got to look at the sundial. They ain't got to look at none of that shit. They know FBA show up. It's our time because it's our time all the time. You feel me? Yes, indeed. So let's keep on regulating. Let's keep on putting it down. And let's keep on leading by example. That's the thing I love the most about us. We lead by example. We're not waiting for someone else to lead us. We're not waiting for a sign. We're not waiting for the next generation. No, it's real results in real time, but we're leading by example. And when you lead by example, that's not only showing your peers what's really good, that's showing everybody who's an op what's really good. Because when you set things up and you come with that real good frequency and that real good vibration, all your B1s, all your brothers and sisters gonna roll with you, but everybody who's got a problem with you, they gonna see that. Oh yeah, they gonna see that we FBA united. They gonna see that we stand side by side. They gonna see that we stronger than ever. Every single thing that we profess and every single thing that we generate, everyone else is watching. Oh yeah, they watching it real close. Real close. And they better enjoy the motherfucking show because we gonna keep on showing out. That's what it do. Foundational Black Americans, brothers and sisters, kings and queens, goddess and gods, it is always about us. It stays about us. This is why we always work together. This is why we always build together. This is why we always grind together, because we started together and we bang with who we came with. You feel me? We don't leave unless we all leave together. We gonna walk out this motherfucker with the same people we walked in it with. It ain't no different than when you used to leave your house and your mom and daddy say, come back home with your brother or sister. You feel me? And it's a known thing. You go out with your cousins, we come back with our cousins. You feel me? That's us. I don't know about them. They the other motherfuckers who don't talk about their culture, have no pride in their culture, just real shameless people, shameful people, just low budget motherfuckers. Don't ever talk about where they came from. They just too busy running. I guess when you running all goddamn day and you fleeing all day, you ain't got the energy to talk about anything. See, we talk about our ancestors. See, we talk about our culture. Yeah, we shine with ours. Oh yeah, we brag about what we've done. They, on the other hand, they too busy trying to get in on our hip hop. They're too busy trying to get in on every last thing we do. But like I said, if it ain't broke, don't break it. And if it's too heavy, don't pick it up. Because everything we do is too strong for them. Talk heavy. Right here in the new black media, we're the ones putting everybody under pressure. We're the ones who are not allowing people to get away with the lies they used to say. See, back in the old days, they could say anything and no one countered it. No one came with the other side of it. AKA, they'd tell some bullshit and nobody came and corrected it with the truth. Now we correct it with the truth. So when you see the governor going on television and saying we got everything under control, when you see Barack Obama sipping on fucking water, not even sipping, acting like he's drinking water. When you see those people back in the day, no pushback. No pushback. Nobody said nothing in return. Now, you really think Obama could go on TV and do that little stunt that he pulled back in the day? You think that shit'll fly nowadays? Hell to the no. Hell to the no. The same way the governor's saying how things are under control, that shit ain't working. This should be a federal emergency. It should be treated like every other disaster. Look, y'all, anytime there's those tornadoes in the Midwest, anytime there's hurricanes down in Florida, anytime you see these things happen, and it's predominantly W's, you see federal emergency and federal funds come flying in. Right now, we're still sitting here saying, where's the money? So I got an answer for that. I got a solution for that. Because you know, Certified Black Society, we always got a solution. Oh yeah, they're not just gonna throw things at us and we sit there and gotta deal with it. Fuck nah. I got a solution for every single thing they do. We got a solution and an answer for every game they play. Here's mine. Since we're the only ones out there going into our pockets, we're the only ones out there starting GoFundMe pages, and we're the only ones out there donating to the victims of this water crisis. Therefore, the only people who are going to get our money are fellow foundational Black Americans. Every dollar, every cent, every penny, every quarter that we donate will only go to foundational Black Americans. So if you are not a foundational Black American and you are dealing with this water crisis, I feel sorry for you and I hope your people help you out, because I am too busy helping out my fellow foundational Black American freedmen. Sorry, that's just how it goes. Everybody looking out for their own. I'm gonna do the same thing. So all the people that I know on the ground, everyone out there making donations, let's make sure that our donations circulate, but our donations circulate only with us. Ain't that a great idea, y'all? I knew you'd agree. One love. All right, everybody. This was another episode of the Black AlphaCast. I appreciate the pull up. Appreciate the whole family who pulled up to the FBA Freedmen United space. It was epic, massive, all of the above. We put out real FBA energy and let the whole world know, because we know they watching this shit close. We let the whole world know that we stand united, we stand thorough, and we stand together. And we put it down, man. That was great. I'm talking about a lot of certified energy in there, and everybody understands that foundational Black Americans, not only are we exceptional, not only are we a collective, but we are the culture. Facts. Damn, that was amazing. The family turned out. Shit, nah, we turned up and turned out. And this is a pure fact. We're going to continue to ride for each other. We're going to continue to help each other. We're going to continue to assist each other. We're going to continue to stand together as one. Not as a group over here, a group over there, not as a motherfucking team, not as a crew. No, as one. One foundational Black American lineage, one foundational Black American culture, one foundational Black American heritage, and we do it with style. Every day, all day, 24/7, 365, and the whole world knows that when FBA is on code, then FBA goes all out. Stay strong, stay focused, and stay healthy. Get to the bag and the money. FBA all the way around. Certified Black society. Peace, love, and reparations to the whole family. And if they waiting for us to lose focus, they gonna be waiting forever, because that's never gonna happen. It's all about love, man. It's all about passion, and it's all about the team. This family tree. And that's how I was raised. I was raised that you stand next to your foundational Black Americans. You stand next to your lineage. You stand next to your heritage and your culture. And you guys know we all stand together. And I'll stand with all of y'all 24/7, 365. And we will put in that work. As I was saying, it's all about being loved. You know, a lot of people want to be hated. That's what a lot of people like. They enjoy the hatred. They enjoy the negative energy, the dark vibes. None of that. It's all about bringing that real strong positive energy. It's all about bringing that real strong foundational Black American excellence, as we speak about. I pride myself on being a person everybody loves. I pride myself on putting out that good energy. I pride myself on putting out that passion and motivating everybody. And I show respect to everybody. I don't care who you are, big, small, or tall. You can have 1,000 followers. You can have 12 followers. I'm going to always treat you real. You know how they say you treat the person who's mopping the floor the same way the person who owns the business. That's what it is, man. So it's respect to the whole family. It's love to the whole family. And go ahead and put your head to the sky. And understand it's all good to love your FBAs, because we the best. If you loving FBA, you winning. If you hating FBA, then you losing. So we're going to give a lot of love and respect. We are the culture. And since we know everybody's watching, and since we know all these tethers and all these ops is going to be trying to pull up and divert our energy and spin us in another direction, we going to show them what it's like when you get some real B1 FBAs in the same place at the same time with the same agenda. FBA excellence. And we got that. All right, family, make sure you leave a like before you ride out. Make sure you subscribe before you ride out if you haven't already. One love to the whole family, everybody in the chat. I salute you, all my 50 states. FBA, we are on top, and everybody else better just take a seat and watch, because we're going to put on a motherfucking show. There it is. All right, man, I'm going to catch you all on the other side. Certified salute from the Black Alpha Network. And I got to have y'all remember one thing, and that is Black is beautiful, and beautiful is always Black. One love.